probably got a listener or two that hasn't heard about this before.
Sure.
So tell us about, kind of give us a primer course on what is geothermal.
Well, the way I like to discuss geothermal is kind of taking you with a conventional system. The conventional system, you have ductwork inside the house, you have a piece of equipment inside the home, as well as you have a piece of equipment outside the home. And as Gary has been helping to educate our listeners for years, in the heating or in the summertime, we're really removing heat. So in essence, what the conventional air source system is doing is taking the heat out of the home via the refrigerant circuit, and literally on the outdoor piece of equipment, we're rejecting that heat outside into the air. So if you go and put your hand outside over top the outdoor unit, you're going to feel the heat that the system is removing for your home. What geothermal is we still have ductwork inside the home, and we have our unit inside the home where the ductwork is at. We don't have a need for an outdoor unit. And in essence, instead of using the outside air, we're using an outside earth loop that is installed, in your backyard, if you will, and we're taking and rejecting that heat or depositing that heat. I
like your bank analogy.
Yes.
I really like that bank analogy, depositing the heat in the ground.
You're a money guy, so you would. So we're going and literally depositing that heat outside in your backyard via the water-filled earth loop. We do that all summer long. And since it is a heat pump in the wintertime, it also heats the home. So the reversing valve reverses, and now we're making withdrawal of that heat from the ground and taking that free heat, if you will, bringing it back into the home and heating the home all winter long. So in essence, we're using the ground versus using the air we like to say that we're either a ground source or a geothermal unit.
Back again, if somebody's thinking about this, how do I know if my house is something I really ought to look at in my home? What are some tangible things that are kind of a tip that, hey, this house could really benefit from geothermal?
Comfort would be one. Another one is going to be, we were talking about high utility bills last summer. How many of our listeners, and even when you did the home makeover, how many of those people were determining what their set points were on their thermostats based on how much they could afford to pay on their utilities? So, comfort is going to be huge, as well as what our homeowners were paying last year. I think the greater majority of people don't know what comfort is until you can afford comfort, and that's what the beauty of geothermal is. Joe called a little while ago up in the Woodlands, and recently, within the last year and a half, we did a retrofit of an existing system to geothermal, and that homeowner, was paying literally up to $1,500 a month in utility bills, and they were never comfortable. Okay, spending that kind of money, you would expect to be comfortable, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we see a lot of that, where people are spending money and they're still not comfortable, and they're just doing it over and over again. And a lot of times they don't know what to do. They're puzzled, so to speak. But getting some direction. Air conditioning duct system. It's not the silver bullet, but it's one of the bigger components of the bullet here in this area.
Well,
that's for sure.
The Holy Trinity. Okay, and this is going to be the geothermal Holy Trinity. You have to have a properly designed duct system, okay? You have to have a properly designed earth loop, and then finally the piece of equipment, which I worked for Water Furnace, and I had my choice of who I could go to work for, and I chose the best, which is Water Furnace Geothermal. We're made in America. So those are the three different things that are going to ensure the customer is going to get the top performing system and see all the comfort that they said that they wanted. I think if any of our listeners have a system that are more than 7 years of age, it's time to start considering, yes, it might still be operational, but how efficient is it, and how comfortable are you really?